The first thing Ada noticed when she married Chukwudi was how beautifully he explained why things could not be done. It was not complaining would have been easier to name. It was something more refined. A fluency. Whenever possibility knocked on their door, Chukwudi would open it, examine it with the eye of a trained engineer, identify every structural weakness, and close the door gently before Ada had finished setting down her planner. They had been married 7 years. In 7 years, Ada had watched for opportunities pass through that door and leave without being given a chair. The first was a land purchase in a developing area of Enugu 3 years ago, when the plots were still affordable. Ada had done the research herself. The numbers made sense. Chukwudi had listened, nodded, and said they should wait until things were more stable. The plots now cost 3 times what they did then. The second was a teachers' cooperative investment scheme Ada's colleague had introduced, modest monthly contributions, documented returns. Chukwudi had called it a scheme. The word scheme had done its work and the conversation ended there. The third was a small engineering consultancy his friend Emeka had invited him to co-found 4 years ago. Ada remembered the exact evening. Chukwudi had come home with the proposal, almost excited, the closest to excited she had seen him about anything financial. Then he had slept on it. Then he had found reasons. Then he had declined. Emeka had started the consultancy alone. It now employed 11 people. Ada kept a worn leather planner where she tracked everything: expenses, goals, the children's school fees, their savings targets. Every month she would sit at the kitchen table and lay out the numbers with the patience of someone building something real. Every month Chukwudi would glance at it, say something gentle about not overthinking, and return to the television. He was not lazy. That was the part that broke her heart most completely. He left the house at 6:30 every morning. He worked 12-hour days without complaint. He was generous with his colleagues and beloved at his office, and the kind of father who showed up to every school event without being reminded. He was doing everything right and somehow it was adding up to nothing. Ada had started praying about it the previous Lent, not for a miracle, but for the right words, and for the courage to say them when the right season finally came. She did not know the season was already turning. It began with a notebook. Not Ada's planner, she had kept that for years without result. This was a small blue exercise book she bought from a school supply shop on a Thursday afternoon, and in it she began writing something she had never written before. The exact words that came out of Chukwudi's mouth every time money was mentioned. She was not building a case against him. She told herself that clearly and often. She was a biology teacher. She understood that you could not treat something you had not first correctly identified. Within 3 weeks the blue exercise book contained 31 phrases. We are managing, that is enough. This country does not reward honest people. Big dreams are for people with big connections. God will provide, there is no need to plan. If we get too comfortable, something will come and take it. That last one stopped her cold when she read it back. If we get too comfortable, something will come and take it. She had heard Chukwudi say this so many times it had become invisible, the way a piece of furniture becomes invisible when it has always been in the same corner. But reading it in the blue exercise book, in her own handwriting, isolated from the flow of conversation, it looked different. It looked like a belief. A foundational, governing, quietly devastating belief. That prosperity was inherently temporary and dangerous. That the safest response to having something was to stay small enough that the something would not be noticed and taken. She brought it to him on a Sunday evening after the children were in bed. She did not present it as an accusation. She placed the blue book on the table between them, opened to that page, and asked one question. Chukwudi, Who taught you that comfort is dangerous? He looked at the words. He opened his mouth. He closed it. Outside the window, a Nugu settled into its Sunday night sounds, generators humming, a neighbor's television, the distant bark of a compound dog. Inside the kitchen, the fluorescent light buzzed faintly and the blue exercise book lay open between them like a small quiet verdict. That is just how people talk, Chukwudi said finally. Ada looked at her husband, this brilliant, hardworking, completely imprisoned man, and said the thing she had been preparing for months. The way we talk is the map of where we are willing to go. Chukwudi, look at this map. Where is it taking us? He did not answer. But he did not look away from the book either. And Ada, who had been waiting 7 years for the right season, recognized in that stillness the first crack of something beginning to open. The promotion offer arrived on a Wednesday. Chukwudi's agency was partnering with a federal infrastructure program and needed a project director, someone to lead a team of 20 engineers on a 2-year road rehabilitation project covering 3 states. The salary was 3 times his current package. There was a project vehicle, a housing allowance, and a performance structure that would, if targets were met, change the financial architecture of their lives permanently. His director called him personally. "You are the most qualified person in this building," he said. "This was built for someone like you." Chukwudi came home and told Ada. She set down her planner and looked at him with the specific expression of a woman watching a door open that she had been standing beside for years. Then she watched his face. She watched the exact moment the excitement arrived, genuine, unguarded, the face of the man she had married lighting up the way it lit up when he solved a complex engineering problem. And then she watched, with her heart in her throat, the exact moment the shrinking began. "It is a lot of travel," he said. "The children are at a critical stage. What if the program is cancelled midway, federal projects get abandoned? You know this country. And my mother is not well. I cannot be 3 states away if something happens." Ada was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Tell me the last time you described an opportunity by what could go right." Chukwudi fell silent. That night he could not sleep. He lay beside Ada in the dark and let his mind go somewhere it had not gone in years, back to Onitsha, to the compound house where he had grown up, to his father who had been a gifted building contractor but had never registered his own farm, always working under other men's companies, always insisting that it was safer, always saying the same thing when Chukwudi had asked him why. "We are not people who put ourselves forward. We do the work and God will see us." And his mother, he heard her voice clearly in the dark, at every family gathering, at every table, the proverb she repeated like scripture. "The tree that grows too tall is the first to be struck by lightning." Chukwudi lay in the dark and felt, for the first time in his life, the full weight of what he had been handed. Not money. Not land. Not connections. A way of seeing. A cage built from love by people who were themselves afraid, handed to him not with malice but with the complete conviction that they were giving him something that would keep him safe. He thought about Emeka's consultancy. 11 employees. He thought about the land plots. 3 times the price now. He thought about Ada's blue exercise book and the 31 phrases and the one that had stopped her cold. "If we get too comfortable, something will come and take it." He understood now where that sentence had come from. He understood the frightened hands that had first formed it. He understood the generation that had learned, through real loss, through real suffering, that visibility was dangerous and that smallness was survival. He understood it. And in understanding it, he felt the cage, for the first time, from the outside. He reached over in the dark and found Ada's hand. She was awake. She had been awake the whole time. "I want to take it," he said. She squeezed his hand once and said nothing. She did not need to. Chukwudi accepted the project director role on a Friday morning. He called his director before Ada was awake, before the children needed breakfast, before the part of him that had spent 38 years finding reasons could organize itself into argument. He called while the decision was still clean and new and before doubt could dress itself in the familiar clothes of wisdom. The first months were the hardest thing he had ever done, not because the work exceeded his ability, which it did not, but because he had to learn how to inhabit a version of himself he had never met. The version that sat at the head of a table of 20 engineers and gave direction without waiting for permission. The version that made decisions and moved forward before every possible failure had been accounted for. It terrified him. He told Ada this on a phone call one evening from a site in Kogi State, standing outside a temporary site office while the sun went down over red laterite roads and his team packed up for the night. He said, "I feel like I am walking on ground that has not been tested." Ada was quiet for a moment and then said, "That is exactly what walking forward feels like. You have been standing still so long you forgot." Something cracked open in his chest when she said that. Back in Enugu, Ada was not waiting passively. She had enrolled in an online financial literacy course, the kind she had wanted Chukwudi to take with her for 2 years. She set up their first joint investment account. She returned to the land research she had done 3 years ago and found a new estate on the Enugu-Onitsha road. The plots were higher now but still accessible. She placed a deposit before calling Chukwudi to tell him. He laughed when she told him. A full, unguarded laugh. "You did not wait for me," he said. "I waited 7 years," she said simply. "I knew you would catch up." There was a moment, a Saturday afternoon 18 months into the project, when Chukwudi drove home from a site visit and pulled into their compound and sat in the car for a full minute before going inside. He thought about his father. He thought about the building contractor who had done everyone else's work under everyone else's name and died having never registered his own. He did not think about it with anger. He thought about it with the specific grief of a man who has finally understood something too late to show the person who needed to see it most, and has decided that the only meaningful response is to live differently enough that his own children will never need to unlearn what he spent 38 years carrying. He went inside. His daughter was at the kitchen table doing homework. His son was arguing with the television about a football match. Ada was at her usual corner of the table, planner open, pen in hand, building something the way she had always built things, carefully and without ceasing. She looked up when he came in. He sat down across from her, put his hands flat on the table between them, and said, "Show me what we have." Ada looked at him for a long moment. Then she opened the planner to the first page. And for the first time in their marriage, they looked at it together. Some inheritances come in envelopes. Some come in land and names and titles. The most powerful ones come in sentences. In the things your father said without knowing he was building walls. In the proverbs your mother repeated without knowing they were ceilings. The question has never been whether you received them. Almost everyone did. The question is what you do the morning you finally recognize the cage. And whether you are brave enough and loved enough to choose the door.